Today, we are making homemade yeast rolls in 30 minutes. Don't believe me? Well, set your timers, join me in the kitchen as we make what may become your favorite roll of all time. Hi, I'm Leanne from YourHomeBasedMom.com, and I have been making these 30-minute rolls for years. And so many of my blog readers have told me once they make these, this is the only roll recipe they use. Now, the original recipe, which I am going to link to down below, makes 12 rolls. But today, because we are a reduced size family, we're going to make 4 rolls. Now, the process is the same, but if you're making 12 rolls, be sure and use the measurements for ingredients that are listed in the recipe down below. Are you ready? Set those timers. Our first step is to get our yeast proofing. And so we are using 1/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon of warm water. Now you want that water temperature to be between 105 to 115 degrees. It's a nice warm baby's bath temperature. And so we're going to take that and we're going to take 2 teaspoons of dry active yeast, add that in. We're going to grab a spoon or a fork or something, give it a little swish. And then we're going to let it set for 5 minutes. So that's our first 5 minutes of our 30 minutes. Now to help this along, I like to take a plate, put it over the top, creates a nice little warm environment, and let that raise or bubble. All right, so while that yeast is proofing, we're going to make good use of our time, and we are going to get the other ingredients into our mixer. Now, today I'm going to use a stand mixer, but you could totally mix these up by hand. We are going to use 1 cup of all-purpose flour plus 3 tablespoons. I had 2 tablespoons in there. That is the 3rd tablespoon. And then just keep a little bit of extra flour on hand because you may need to add a little bit more in. And then into that, we are going to add 4 teaspoons of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 tablespoons. I am using olive oil, but you could also use canola oil if you prefer. And then we are using 1 tablespoon of beaten egg. So I just beat up an egg and measure out 1 tablespoon. You can, there's about 3 tablespoons of egg in a medium to large size egg. Save the rest to throw into some scrambled eggs or an omelet or something. But if you put the whole egg in, your rolls are gonna taste too eggy. All right, our yeast mixture is ready, nice and bubbly, and we are going to add that in. Make sure you get it all in there. And then we are going to turn on our mixer and let this knead for a few minutes. All right, there we go. We're plugged in, ready to go. And you just want to mix this until it all comes together, pulls away from the sides of the bowl, and it's a nice, soft, and smooth dough. If you find that your dough's a little too sticky, go ahead and add a little bit more flour in. Just do it a teaspoon at a time, just a little bit. And if you found you've added too much in, you can always add in just a little bit more water. But you want a nice, soft dough that is a little bit tacky, but it's still totally manageable to handle. We're going to take our dough and we're just going to add a little flour to our counter, and we're going to then divide it into 4 pieces. I'm just going to use my little bench scraper here. You can get fancy and weigh out each one to make sure they're all the same, but I just kind of eyeball it. Now, I'm going to use this little 7x5 baking dish. It's a perfect little size for a reduced size family. I'll link to it down below. And I'm going to go ahead and just give it a light spray. Then I'm going to take each one of our little dough balls and form them into a ball. Now the way I like to do that is I kind of just pull it out a little bit and then just do a little fold motion on each side, then the other 2 sides, and then just kind of tuck and form a nice round little ball. We're going to put those into our pan and then just repeat with our other ones. Flatten them out, fold over the 2 sides, then the other sides, and form into a little round ball. All right, now we are going to let them rest for about 10 minutes. I'm going to cover them. If your house isn't really warm, I like to turn the light on in my oven and put my rolls in there to rise. It's a nice, perfect temperature in there. Just wait to preheat your oven. But you are going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll see you back in 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes, and they're not going to look like they've raised a whole lot, but that's okay because they are going to raise even more as they bake. So we are ready to put them into our 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Just watch them. You want it to be nice and golden brown. right, they are out of the oven. They are nice and golden brown. They smell amazing. And we may be at just slightly more than 30 minutes, but come on, what's another extra couple minutes when you can have these amazing homemade yeast rolls in almost 30 minutes. When they're out of the oven, I like to take some melted butter, just as extra little touch, and spread that on top of the rolls. And then we're gonna try one. Of course, a little extra butter never hurt. Look at how yummy. Ooh, they're hot and beautiful. That is. Add a little butter and give it a taste, and swoop, so good. But thanks for joining me in the kitchen, and we're gonna see you in the next video.